everyone, and welcome to Living Healthy and Aging Well. My name is Ken Haglind, and we are broadcasting from the AM 950 radio station that overlooks Bryant Lake Regional Park, located in Eden Prairie, Minnesota. It is another beautiful day here in the Twin Cities, and I am so grateful to be here with you today, and I hope all of you listening are doing well. We are on the air every Saturday from noon to 1 to talk about your health and your life. We cover a wide range of topics to help you and your loved ones improve your quality of life. We have another great show for you today. Joining me in a few minutes will be Bryan Pyatt. He is an MA pre-licensed therapist at State of Mind Therapy, and he is here to talk about the ways he assists children and adults in navigating OCD and anxiety. Do you feel like your mind is constantly racing with intrusive thoughts that you just can't shake? Maybe you're struggling with obsessive worries about contamination, or perhaps your thoughts feel so disturbing that you're questioning your very sense of self. Bryan is experienced in reducing the impact these thoughts have on your life, so you can start engaging more fully with the things that truly matter to you. It's not just about reducing symptoms. It's about living a life that feels fulfilling and true to who you are, even with anxiety and OCD along for the ride. You will enjoy listening to my conversation today with Bryan Pyatt. I want to thank all of you that leave us messages on our radio show phone line. We appreciate hearing from you, and we welcome your comments, questions, and topics for future shows. Also, if you are interested in being a guest on our radio show, please call or text us at 612-999-3426. You can also contact us on our website at livinghealthyradio.com. There you can find information about upcoming guests as well as listen to our previous shows, and we look forward to hearing from you. We are adding new listeners to the show each week, and we are truly grateful for that, not only here in the Twin Cities of Minnesota, but also throughout the country. You can find podcasts for all of our radio shows on the AM 950 radio website, and we can also be found on your favorite streaming service, including Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and many others. You can also watch our broadcast live on the radio station's Facebook page at AM 950 Radio. If you have a question for us today, there's two ways to reach us. First, by calling the AM 950 radio station, and our friendly show producer, Adam, will get your call on the air. Our phone number is 952-946-6205. Once again, 952-946-6205, or you can directly text us your questions at 612-999-3426. Now, don't worry. If you missed our contact numbers, I'll repeat them throughout the show. All right, I'm excited to welcome my guest for today's show, Bryan Pyatt. He is the pre-licensed therapist from State of Mind Therapy. Welcome to the show, Bryan.
Thank you so much. It's so good to be here.
All right. Well, before we get into our conversation, the audience just loves to get a little background of who you are and how you ended up at State of Mind Therapy. Everyone's got such a great story. And so if you wouldn't mind giving us a little background, that'd be great.
Absolutely. So as you and I were kind of talking even before the show started, life has a way of sometimes just taking us on a path that maybe we didn't initially envision, right? But my background professionally, actually, before I became a therapist, was in the world of broadcast news. I worked for about 10 years locally here at one of the TV stations, and I was an anchor, reporter, producer there for a number of years. And then in 2021, right during COVID, during the pandemic, made a decision to make a pretty big shift with my career. Went back to grad school and started studying to become a mental health therapist, and that's what I've been doing ever since. So working at State of Mind Therapy now, with a great team there and specializing in the treatment of OCD and anxiety. It's not everything that I work with there, but that's really like the primary focus of our practice. And as I know we'll get into, a lot of my own personal story has been a big reason that I've landed in this kind of work.
So, well, let's talk about your personal story. I think just to start off with, might as well talk about that because people remember stories and they really enjoy understanding how you came to this point in your life. And again, it's just so fascinating to me that people. You had a great career in television media, and then all of a sudden you decide. I'll tell you, the pandemic did that to a lot of people.
It's so true.
I said to you earlier, I probably have half the guests on over the 8 years that shifted careers because something caused them to just sit back and evaluate.
Oh, absolutely.
Am I happy?
Yeah.
It comes down to sometimes, am I happy doing what I'm doing? And the pandemic, because people were basically shut down. Depending upon the nature of their work and everything else. But they had a lot of time to think.
Yeah, it's so true.
And it's amazing. People like yourself, you're a great example of it. You go back to grad school and totally shift gears to a different profession.
Yeah.
I just find that fascinating.
Yeah, it was, making this kind of change was something that I had been thinking about for a while, pre-pandemic and pre-COVID. And I think that time of the pandemic really, for me, and I think a lot of people potentially experience this, it just seems like it put a lot of things into perspective, right? It's almost like life got really simple in many ways. It was just kind of that new lens of simplicity, right? And I know obviously COVID and the pandemic was a just awful time for so many people, and there was so much tragedy around it. And I think there was also just this kind of byproduct of looking at life in a different way. And I think I would have eventually made the shift in my life at some point, but I definitely think the conditions of COVID really probably nudged me in that direction a little bit quicker.
Yeah, for all the difficulties that brought onto society and many people's lives are still affected by what they went through in COVID.
Yeah.
It was kind of a launching pad for people that were pondering things.
Absolutely.
It gave you a chance to contemplate. And then, again, so many things now you can do online.
Yep.
I mean, I don't know if the majority of your education was online then at that point? Or?
Yeah, it started off fully virtual, actually, because when I started the program, we were still very much in, all the pandemic restrictions and things like that. So it started fully virtual. And then it eventually, as I went through the program, I went to St. Mary's University here locally. Eventually, as we kind of worked through it, we eventually moved to in-person classes. But it did start fully virtual, and I think that made that kind of a shift even more accessible. Right.
Yeah. So what prompted you to look into that field of all the fields? I mean, especially someone who's been in the media.
Yep.
I mean, you're covering all kinds of stories. I mean, it's really a neat place to be.
Yes.
Because you see almost everything that goes on.
Yeah.
Where a lot of people tend to have blinders on and they live their life and they got their routine but in media, and I'm having a radio show, I get a chance to, over the last 8 years, talk to people from all walks of professions and transitions and stories. And I'm very, like I told you earlier, I'm just so fortunate to be able to have this platform.
Yeah. So when I was working at the TV station here locally, I actually opened up, so one of the cool things about that job was the platform, right? Very similar to what you're talking about with this, even this show, right? That gives you a platform to reach people. And when I was working in television, had the opportunity to be given that platform, which was really incredible. And through that, made a decision to really open up publicly about my own mental health story and living with OCD and anxiety. And so, and that was pre-pandemic that I did that. So I really made a decision to open up and share and really use my platform to help other people know that, they're not alone. Right? They're not alone in this. Mental health struggles can feel really, really lonely and super isolating. And so it was kind of my way of like raising my hand, being like, hey, this is something that I struggle with. I want to share this with you so that if you're struggling too, right, know that you're not alone. And so that really launched me into years of mental health advocacy, right? Doing a lot of public speaking, doing a lot of things just like this, sharing and talking to people about mental health. And then kind of was like, I really want to make this my full-time work. I just don't know how do I do that, right? Like, how do I make that change? I think everybody can relate to that on some level when you're wanting to make a career shift. Is it's scary, right? Like, how do I make money doing it? How do I, provide for myself, all those things. And so it had started to kind of be on my mind that, hey, maybe I should go back and become a therapist. And then just finally was like, you know what, I'm going to do it. I'm going to make the change. And people, I mean, when I tell people about it, it is very often like, wow, that's a real 180, right? Going from broadcast news to becoming a therapist. But it was something that had been really stirring within me for a while.
Yeah. From one to many to one to one, basically.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah, it's totally.
All right. It's time for a short break. We'll be right back to continue our conversation with Bryan Pyatt, MA, and he is a pre-licensed therapist at State of Mind Therapy, and we are talking about the ways he assists children and adults in navigating OCD and anxiety. If you have a question for Bryan, please give us a call, 952-946-6205, or text us at 612-999-3426. I'm Ken Haglind, and you are listening to Living Healthy and Aging Well.
Hi, I'm Mary T. I'm a proud supporter of AM 950 because this station shares the values that I care about most: community, connection, and making a difference. Just like AM 950, I believe in using our energies, our resources, and our voices to lift up others. That's why I started the Mary T. Scholar Program at the University of Minnesota College of Education and Human Development, providing graduate students with internships internationally. For over the past 10 years, our students have served communities in Laos, Cambodia, Nepal, India, Cameroon, and Thailand, gaining experience and helping people in ways that really make a difference. Supporting AM 950 fosters conversation, awareness, and action in our communities. It's about shared values and believing that together we can make a difference. Visit MaryTinc.com to learn more about the work that we do.
Aho, this is Robert Pilot. For Native relatives, healing is more than just sobriety. It's reclaiming indigenous masculinity as a sacred, balanced force. Join Hunter Thundercloud for Native Roots Radio presents Controlled Fire. We explore how personal recovery uplifts our communities. It's time men step back into roles as mentors and spiritual leaders. Recovery is collective, and it starts with us. Tune in the first and third Wednesday of every month at 6 p.m. for Native Roots Radio presents Controlled Fire. Let's tend the fire together.
Hey, it's Patrick for Zero Res. February is the month for love, so when was the last time you gave your carpet the love and attention it deserves? Maybe you've been procrastinating on the holiday post-mortem cleanup at your house. Are you worried if you got down on your hands and knees what you might see or smell? Not only is your carpet one of the biggest investments in your home, but it's also the largest air filter in your home. And what's worse, you're going to be stuck inside breathing this nasty stuff for months. Lucky for you, Zero Res is going to spread the love to you and your home. This month, get 3 rooms of carpet clean starting at just $119 and take $75 off your air duct cleaning. Call my friends at Zero Res right now, 952-ZERO-RES, or go online to ZeroResMinnesota.com and say you want the AM 950 special. A 4.9 rating on Google reviews and over 21,000 satisfied customers can't be wrong. Backward or forward spells the same. Zero Res.
It's no secret that medical care costs are soaring, with nursing home and skilled nursing care costs being some of the highest. You don't have to deplete your savings in order to receive long-term care. At Schroman Law, we work with families to develop and implement strategic planning for medical assistance for long-term care, for assisted living, nursing home care, or home-based care. Contact us today to schedule a free consultation at schromenlaw.com. That's SCHROMEN law.com.
All right, welcome back, everybody. You are listening to Living Healthy and Aging Well, where we talk about helping you and your loved ones improve and enjoy your quality of life. My name is Ken Haglind, and joining me today is Bryan Pyatt. He is a MA and pre-licensed therapist at State of Mind Therapy, and he is here sharing about the ways he assists children and adults in navigating OCD and anxiety. Bryan, how can our listeners contact you and your organization if they have questions or want more information about this important topic?
Yeah, so, best place always to go is our website, stateofmindtherapy.com. Has a lot of great information on there about just the work that we do. It's myself and two other therapists, Jenny Matthews and Justin Matthews. Just so honored to be part of the team. So there's information on there about them, about just what it looks like to work with us, all those kind of common questions that people usually have. So that's always the best landing spot is stateofmindtherapy.com.
All right, fantastic. And we will mention that throughout the show here. So folks, if you missed that, we will do that every time we come back from break. All right. Well, let's, I think from my perspective, there's a lot of misunderstandings about what OCD is.
Yeah.
In fact, I think many people use OCD and they don't even know what the OCD stands for.
That's right.
Would you mind just giving us a primer
Yes.
on OCD and to someone who literally has dealt with that and is practicing that at this point?
Yeah. So it is so incredibly misunderstood. I think you're spot on, right? We hear it all the time just in day-to-day language that people use sometimes, right? I'm so OCD, or however it's used, and I can have understanding that that's just kind of the narrative out there, and we pick that up, and yet not really understanding the gravity of when we're just kind of flippantly using that word. It can do a lot of damage, right? And I think the biggest thing that I always like to stress is that a lot of times it delays people getting the support that they need if we're not really talking about what OCD actually is. There's a statistic out there actually that on average, don't quote me specifically on the number, but it's somewhere around 14 years that people generally go from onset of OCD symptoms to getting a proper diagnosis. So,
oh no.
Moral of the story is there's a lot of people out there living with OCD not realizing that that's what they're experiencing, right? And
right.
The real devastating thing about that is then they're not getting the help that they need. So OCD, I kind of one of the best ways that I like to describe it is it's a lot like living with an extremely sticky brain. So every one of us on the planet, everybody listening to this right now has intrusive thoughts that show up in their mind, right? Like that if we're being really honest with ourselves, we might be like, okay, I just had this thought. Why did I have that thought? Kind of an interesting thought. Not sure I'd be super comfortable sharing that thought with somebody else, but most of us can just kind of have that thought, notice it, move on with our day. We're not spending a lot of time thinking about that thought and why we had it. For people with OCD, people living with OCD, instead of that brain that thought just kind of moving through, it gets stuck in our mind is I think one of the best ways to describe it. And so instead of moving on with our day, people with OCD are spending a lot of time analyzing that thought, trying to figure out why did I have that thought? What does that thought say? I need to kind of figure it out. I need to get it to go away. What does it say about me? All these different things that people get really, really tangled up in. And so the diagnostic way to really describe OCD is there's generally two different things going on with OCD. There's obsessions and there's compulsions going on. So an obsession is really anything that is causing some level of distress, feels very unwanted, feels very opposite to who the person is, and generally presents in some sense of like a what if, like what if this happens, or what if that happens, right? And then there's a compulsion happening generally, which is any kind of effort to get rid of that thought, reduce any distress around that thought, figure out the thought. And so we're kind of, people with OCD are in this dance of having intrusive thoughts and then spending all this time doing compulsions to try to get the thought to go away. So I would probably need 17 hours to fully get into all the minutia of an OCD diagnosis. And this is why I always encourage people to go talk to a professional if they feel like this is something that they're potentially experiencing. But that's kind of the overall thing that's going on. Intrusive thoughts are showing up inside people's brains. These thoughts feel really unwanted, distressing, overwhelming, cause some level of uncertainty that feels really, really hard to tolerate. And then spending a lot of time trying to get those thoughts to go away or figure them out or get to the bottom of those thoughts. And as you can imagine, if you're caught up in that cycle all day long, basically at war with your brain and trying to micromanage thoughts that are showing up in your brain, that can have some really, really negative impacts on living and functioning.
Well, just the energy drain, because the
Exactly
brain
right.
takes up a quarter or more of the energy requirements that we need every day.
That's exactly right.
I just can't imagine
Yep.
how much exhaustion a person would feel at night. Now I know, so there's just I've noticed over my career a human tendency to ruminate.
Yes.
Where and I think it maybe goes back biological, fight or flight. You're kind of always trying to protect yourself.
That's right.
In one sense, and
Yep.
and I've just seen how people will. I know for myself, you just think, what if this doesn't happen? What if that doesn't happen? Or you're thinking about even people you love, your children, your friends, your family.
That's right.
What if that medical diagnosis is a bad diagnosis?
Yeah.
Or, it's so easy to let yourself kind of go down those paths.
That's right.
And then, but I know that it's not just about positive thinking.
That's right.
I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
You're here as the expert.
Well, 100%. Yeah. If it was only just that simple, right? Like if we could just say, hey, just think positive, right? And that'll break the
Go to
rumination.
your happy place.
Yeah, go to your happy place, right? And not saying that, hey, maybe that works for some people, but what I see is that, it takes a lot of intentional work to break that rumination cycle. And that's something that I know we can kind of keep talking about together here today. But it's, rumination. It just pulls it. It's like we think we're solving a problem.
Right.
When in reality, it's pulling us further and further and further away from life.
Right. All right, it's time for a short break. We'll be right back to continue our conversation with Bryan Pyatt, MA, pre-licensed therapist at State of Mind Therapy. And we are talking about the ways he assists children and adults in navigating OCD and anxiety. If you have a question, please give us a call, 952-946-6205, or text us at 612-999-3426. I'm Ken Haglind, and you are listening to Living Healthy and Aging Well.
This is Chad, owner of AM 950. I've been telling you about my friends at Snap Construction, who are arguably the most well-reviewed exterior construction company in the metro. Don't just take my word for it. Take a look at all their reviews online. Winter is the most cost-effective time of the year to complete your construction project. A majority of Minnesotans choose to have their work completed on their home in the summer when they should be enjoying the weather. As a result, the demand for labor in the summer is much higher. The most cost-effective way to improve or restore your home is in the winter due to the lower demand. Right now, Snap Construction is offering an additional 30% off of labor to the AM 950 listeners on your next construction project between now and the end of February. Call 612-333-SNAP and mention AM 950 for an additional 30% off. As always, Snap Construction stands by their work with a lifetime craftsmanship warranty. Don't wait to get a free estimate by calling 612-333-SNAP or find them online at snapconstruction.com. Financing options available.
Celebrate Valentine's with the perfect musical. The Chameleon Theater Circle is proud to present I Love You, You're Perfect, Now Change. Bright, sexy, witty, and fun, this show will appeal to anyone who has ever fallen into the deep end of love and come up gasping for air. Shows run 3 weekends starting February 13th at Inver Hills Community College, Just Google Chameleon Theater to see times and reserve tickets. I love you. You're perfect. Now change with the Chameleon Theater Circle. Get your tickets now.
This Valentine's Day, give the gift of reading at Next Chapter Booksellers. Whether you're trying to survive Trump administration too, or seeking something cozy, they've got you covered. Their newest nonfiction table offers books to channel anxiety into action. While for something lighter, check out their Japanese and Korean healing fiction, or explore their upsetting shelf of surreal, strange novels. Next Chapter Booksellers can help you find the perfect gift for Valentine's Day, whether to inspire, comfort, or escape. Located off Snelling and Grand in St. Paul, more at nextchapterbooksellers.com.
Hi, I'm Mary T. Caring for others runs deep in my family. My grandmother, Rosa, was a nurse who cared for people in their homes more than a century ago. Inspired by her compassion, my mother, Margaret, and I founded the Mary T. family of companies nearly 50 years ago. Today, we continue that legacy across Minnesota, Wisconsin, Maryland, and Arizona, providing senior living, assisted living with memory care, home health, hospice care, rental housing, and support for people with disabilities. Each service is personal, creative, and focuses on the unique needs of those we serve. We also believe in joy and community, which is why we opened Crooner Supper Club in Fridley, a place to celebrate life with music, laughter, and connection. At Mary T., we're proud to be a Minnesota family company rooted in compassion, inclusion, and respect, and proud supporters of AM 950 and the values that this station represents. Visit MaryTinc.com to learn more.
Congratulations to Mary T., named one of the most admired CEOs of 2026 by the Minneapolis-St. Paul Business Journal.
With a look at your AM 950 forecast, this is Adam. 26 and cloudy today. For tonight, partly cloudy and 10. And for tomorrow, we're looking at a high of 33. Looking for a colorful, high-energy indoor experience for you and your kids this winter? Go Dog Go, Ve Pero Ve, opens this week at Children's Theater Company. Get tickets today for this joyful bilingual musical where delightful dogs drive, swim, play baseball, and race to the big dog party. That's the childrenstheater.org.
This is AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota.
Saturday.
All right. Welcome back, everyone. You are listening to Living Healthy and Aging Well, where we talk about helping you and your loved ones improve and enjoy your quality of life. My name is Ken Haglind, and joining me today is Bryan Pyatt. He is an MA, and he's pre-licensed therapist at State of Mind Therapy. And he's talking about the ways he can assist children and adults in navigating OCD and anxiety. And this could be a multi-hour show because there's so many things to talk about, and I am learning a lot here, especially on the breaks.
Yeah.
as Bryan is really thoughtful about helping explain things to me. Before we return to our conversation with Bryan, though, I want to mention this radio show is brought to you in part each week by Minnesota Hospice. Minnesota Hospice is an independent, locally owned medical practice serving our Twin Cities communities with comprehensive end-of-life health care. The team at Minnesota Hospice provides patients and family members with award-winning end-of-life health care services. You may not be aware that hospice brings compassionate medical, social, emotional, and spiritual services right to your home with typically no cost to you or your family. Please do not wait to learn how hospice care can benefit you and your loved ones. If you have any questions regarding end-of-life care or support, please contact the compassionate team of experts at Minnesota Hospice. They are available to answer your questions 24 hours a day, 7 days a week by a registered nurse. Their phone number is 952-898-1022. Once again, 952-898-1022, or simply visit them online at minnesotahospice.com. All right. Bryan, if people have questions about your services or just want to learn more, what's the best way for them to reach you and your organization?
Yeah, so just head to stateofmindtherapy.com. So stateofmindtherapy.com is definitely going to be the best place to go for any questions that people might have about the services that we offer.
All right. Excellent. And you guys do both in-person and virtual?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we do a mixture of both.
Okay. And your office is located here in the Bloomington area, right?
Yeah, it's in Bloomington.
Okay.
Yep. So right along 494. And, I do a mixture of both virtual and in-person work.
Yeah.
So
okay.
nice combo of both.
Do you find, I'm always curious about this because a lot of people are on the show, they do both. I tell you, it's becoming more and more important because as our population ages, it's so difficult to get people out of the house in a car to a location. I really see an evolution of care being done remotely in many cases, especially like what you're doing when it involves talk therapy, and we can talk about the good and the bad of talk therapy here in this segment. But it's good that people know it can be virtual or it can be in person. Some people just work better in person, and some people like to have the comfort of home, and they can just do it from their office or wherever they're at.
And I think the convenience for people, if they have a busy work day, right, being able to just hop off a work meeting and then hop on a virtual therapy session, I think actually, and in fact I know, is I think making therapy a lot more accessible to people who maybe don't have that time to drive in office.
True.
And so I think there's benefits and positives and negatives to both, but I think what I've seen for sure is really, really effective work being done both in person and virtual. And I think just the accessibility piece of virtual, I think, is a really, really key component.
Well, I think we hear so much about mental health now, whether it's in professional athletes and entertainers and all kinds of people that are kind of coming out saying, well, like you did, in your career, you said, hey, I've got this and I want to help other people. Yeah. But it seems like there's just a lot of awareness happening. Yeah. But I don't know if there's, if people are really getting the help they need. Yeah. And that's why when you talked about on the break here about is talk therapy. What is the way to treat, or what is the way for people to work through OCD and anxiety? Because it's a rampant epidemic. I say in America. Yeah, well,
absolutely. The biggest thing that I always stress particularly with OCD, really, really, really important to get treatment and help from somebody who specializes in OCD. What we find is sometimes for OCD specific symptoms, just traditional talk therapy can sometimes actually activate and make OCD symptoms worse. And so it's really, really important that people are getting evidence-based treatment. There's a few different modalities out there to work with OCD from an evidence-based lens. The most common one is what's called exposure and response prevention. I know I'm kind of getting into like psychology weeds here a little bit, but exposure and response prevention, there's a form of treatment out there called acceptance and commitment therapy that's proven to be really effective for people living with OCD. I kind of blend those two in my work, exposure and response prevention and acceptance and commitment therapy. And then there's something called inference-based cognitive behavioral therapy that's gaining a lot of traction right now in the field, and a lot of people have had a lot of success with that. So moral of the story is that if you're living with OCD or you have a loved one living with OCD, really, really good to just do your homework to make sure that whoever you're working with truly specializes in it, because it's not to knock talk therapy. I love talk therapy, and it's effective for a lot of incredible things. But if we're talking specifically about OCD, you just want to be mindful that you're working with a specialist.
Yeah. I had a person I met who had a fear of flying.
Yes. Yeah.
And talk therapy, for a long time. It just wasn't getting anywhere. Yeah. And I think they ended up working with somebody that was focused on the exposure type thing. So what they did is they had him go to the airport and park on Post Road and watch planes coming and going.
I love it.
Coming and going, so that he could see this is just a natural thing that happens all the time, and it's not like it's a one-time event. It really helped him start to, and then of course there was other steps. It was being in the terminal, and it was watching people come off the plane. But it was interesting how that is what got him back on a plane again.
Yes,
not sitting necessarily in a therapist office or behind a screen. It was actually getting out and having some almost like interaction.
Yes, and being able to like be in that moment and
Right,
experience
hear the
that
planes
emotion.
landing
Yeah.
and the engines and all that.
So it's really cool that you're bringing this up, actually. So Jenny Matthews and Justin, who are the other two people in the practice. Jenny owns the practice of state of mind therapy. She's very passionate about fear of flying work.
Really?
They host fear of flying workshops actually at the Minneapolis St. Paul Airport, where people can actually go to the airport. There's like a little flight, kind of like simulator, or just like a flight. It kind of feels like you're in an airplane.
Yeah. Okay.
Where they're doing these workshops regularly, and so that's a huge piece of the work at State of Mind Therapy is fear of flying work. So if people are experiencing that, it's so common, it's so real.
Yeah.
Check out our website. There's some good, whether it's those workshops that I talked about at the airport, or there's some digital courses that Jenny's put together that people can explore as well.
And again, just reaching out to your State of Mind Therapy.
StateofMindTherapy.com.
Online. Requesting information, and they're good to go on that.
Yeah, and I believe we have like a course. We're just looking at the website right now. I think under the courses tab at the top, I think Jenny has the fear of flying stuff on there. There's like a Fearful Flyers recovery blueprint and strategies to work with fear of flying, and then they have stuff on there about the workshops at the airport.
At the airport, it must be, wow.
Yeah, so glad you brought that up.
If people want help with that, they're out of state, just fly in.
Just fly in. Yeah, I'm sure that won't be stressful at all.
Right. And meet with you, and then meet with Jenny. Yeah, so.
Yeah.
No, but that's really, I mean, it's a huge thing. It's even, I've heard someone say, it's not just planes, Ken. It's trains, it's cars, it's watercraft. I mean, there's a lot of things people are very hesitant or reluctant, which again, narrows down your life's experiences a lot.
And I think, and you're getting at something that's so core there, which is, we could sit in a therapy office for years, right, and talk about the fear of flying, if we're going to use that example, right? And that's an important piece of it, right? It's very important that we look at thoughts that are maybe not helpful and learn how to ride the wave of emotions and all of those sorts of things. But if all we're doing is sitting in the therapy office and talking about it and not actually getting ourselves into our life by going to the airport or doing the thing that we're really fearful of, life is going to continue to feel really, really small, right? And so that's where the exposure work of exposures can feel like a really big, scary word for a lot of people, but ultimately it's just helping people do the things that they care about the most, regardless of whether or not they're experiencing anxiety or uncertainty or doubt. That's really a lot of the work that we do, is not trying to contort life or set up life in a way where we never feel uncomfortable emotions, because we're human. It's how do we shift our relationship with those thoughts and those emotions and those sensations in our bodies so that we can acknowledge when they're there, name them, notice them, but then also be like, I'm going to invite them along for the ride, and I'm going to go do these things that are important to me.
I'm just curious, do you guys do work with the EMDR type therapy, or is that?
So we don't, but that's, EMDR is really, really effective at treating trauma. That's what we see, most often. So if I'm working with clients who are showing symptoms of trauma, I'm more than likely referring them to somebody who does EMDR. Yeah.
Because that requires specialized training as
Absolutely.
well.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yep.
Okay. So is it when you're diagnosing or when you're working with people, example, the fear of flying or any situation like that, is it people are somewhat reluctant to be vulnerable to that experience or to that situation? Is there where people have to just kind of learn to help just be okay with being vulnerable, okay with being a little bit nervous about flying or whatever situation that creates that anxiety?
Totally. I mean, I think that even applies to, vulnerability, I think, is a big thing that sometimes gets in the way of people even reaching out to a therapist, right? Like it's, if you're really struggling and the, most human beings, it's scary to show that struggle and pain and suffering to another human being. And so I think that oftentimes sometimes what I'm most in awe of with my clients is just like their willingness the first time I meet them to just show up for the appointment, right? And and sit down in the chair in front of me and be willing to kind of open up about what's really hard. And I think the more that we practice vulnerability, because it is a practice, right? It's not easy,
right?
But the more that we practice that's where I see a lot of really beautiful healing.
Oh, fantastic. It's time for a short break. We'll be right back to continue our conversation with Bryan Pyatt, M.A. pre-licensed therapist at State of Mind Therapy. If you have a question for us, please give us a call, 952-946-6205, or text us at 612-999-3426. I'm Ken Haglind, and you are listening to Living Healthy and Aging Well.
Do you need support living safely and independently in your home? Don't wait until a fall, accident, or unsafe step forces change. Rebuilding Together Minnesota provides home safety repairs and mobility modifications at no cost to low-income homeowners, helping older adults stay in the homes they love. Offering aging-in-place home modification services like grab bars, railings, slip grips, and ramp installations, your safety and autonomy are their priority. Need safer stairs, porches, or decks? They handle full replacements. They also install fire safety essentials like smoke and carbon monoxide detectors. Applications for services run through March 31st, 2026. Once that window closes, you'll have to wait for next year's window to apply again. Don't risk another unsafe day. Let your neighbors help. Apply today at rtmn.org and select Apply for Help. That's rtmn.org and select Apply for Help. Or call 651-776-4273. Rebuilding Together Minnesota. Safer homes, stronger independence.
Crooners is a classic supper club with a wide range of entertainment. Make your reservations for a parade of international, national, and local artists in the main stage showroom, the intimate Dunsmore Jazz Room, or outdoors at the seasonal Belvedere Under the Stars space. Or enjoy Maggie's Piano Lounge. Enjoy 4-star food and drinks with first-class supper club service. What are you waiting for? Go to croonersmn.com for more information and schedule. That's croonersmn.com.
Being a foster grandparent has definitely given me a purpose in life.
I'm a best student because of her.
Foster grandparents are role models, tutors, and friends to children with exceptional needs.
So we go into the classroom and work with those children who are not quite up to their grade level.
Best part of being a foster grandparent volunteer, watching the light up in the kids' eyes.
And you can see their success, and it's really rewarding.
I am so proud of the work that I do here.
It is the best feeling in the world.
She helps me with reading sometimes. I love Grandma Lydia. Thank you, Grandma. Thank you, Grandma Carol. Thanks, Grandma Jen, for helping me.
I'm living again, and the foster grandparent did that for me.
It's the best part of my life.
To learn more about how to become a foster grandparent and help children in need, call 1-800-942-2677 or visit SeniorCorps at nationalservice.gov.
Peace of mind shouldn't cost a fortune. We keep things simple at Schroman Law because we believe planning for your estate and end-of-life care shouldn't be stressful or expensive. Every client relationship starts with a free consultation so clients have the information they need before making important decisions. From there, we work closely with clients to ensure they are choosing the most efficient and cost-effective plans for their specific needs. Schedule a free consultation today at schromenlaw.com. That's SCHROMEN law.com.
All right, welcome back, everyone. You are listening to Living Healthy and Aging Well, where we talk about helping you and your loved ones improve and enjoy your quality of life. My name is Ken Haglind, and joining me today is Bryan Pyatt, M.A., pre-licensed therapist at State of Mind Therapy, and he is talking about ways to assist people in navigating OCD and anxiety. And we've got to have you back, Bryan, because
I love it.
We just haven't even scratched the surface.
Yeah.
But it's so important. I mean, what you're talking about today is helping people just understand more about, well, what is OCD.
Yeah.
And so in the last segment here, well, first of all, if anybody is interested to reach out to Bryan and his organization here, go to stateofmindtherapy.com.
That's exactly right.
State of Mind Therapy. And if you go on the first page there, you'll see Bryan there with his other two people in the practice. And if you have a question in this last segment, give us a call, 952-946-6205, or you can text us at 612-999-3426. Okay, one of the questions that come up is insurance. Does insurance cover some of these things, and do you guys take insurance?
It's a great question. Yeah, so that's going to be depending on what therapist you work with. It's going to be different for each therapist. We at State of Mind Therapy do not work with insurance. We do not take insurance, so we're what's considered an out-of-network provider. So, without getting too in the weeds with insurance and things like that, we do some of our clients get out-of-network benefits. So, we provide all the information that would be needed for people to submit directly to their insurance. And some of my clients get reimbursement. Some people don't. Kind of depends on your particular plan. But that's just our practice. There are some OCD therapists out there who do take insurance. A lot of whether it's fortunate or unfortunate, a lot of OCD therapists, I would say, kind of the bulk, tend to be private pay, not with insurance. But always encourage people to kind of do their research, and it'll be different depending on what therapist you're working with.
But you guys will accept HSA cards
Yep.
and all that stuff.
Yes.
So
Yep.
with the way healthcare has shifted here, and we'll get back on topic here, but people have high deductibles. They have these thousands of dollars, and so everything becomes kind of private pay.
Yes.
Because you just these deductibles are just skyrocketing. So anyway, that's good to know. That's it's one of the questions that just popped up here.
Yep.
But let's talk in the last 4 minutes here about hope, because I want to end this with. I mean, look at you. You here you are. You've gone through a lot of things, and here you are now helping others, which is fantastic. I think I can see you're currently full with your book of business and your clients and things. But it's nice to know when people are coming to get help that the person helping them understands them.
Yes.
And obviously you do that, and you do a great job. And so tell us more about kind of the hope that people can look forward to in OCD therapy.
What I find, I mean, and I can relate to this personally, and what I hear from a lot of my clients is just this experience of really wrestling with their mind a lot of the day, right? And as we talked about before, that can be really exhausting and can be really, really depleting. There can also be a lot of shame that we see with OCD. Some of the content that intrusive thoughts latch onto for some people living with OCD can be really, really hard to talk about, and can start convincing them that they're a bad person, or start making them kind of question their morality and the kind of person that they are. And so I share all this to say that with proper treatment, this can get significantly better, right? There's effective therapy out there. There's professionals out there who are specializing in this kind of work to help you with that. So I think it's just really important for people to understand that help is out there. Taking that first step can be really, really scary. Sometimes, as I said before, the hardest part is just getting yourself in the door. Sometimes working with a therapist, it can feel really overwhelming. But I think on a broader level, what I really like to help people understand is that we are not our thoughts. We as human beings can really over-identify with the content of our brain and what's going on inside our mind at a given moment. And if we're buying into the narrative that our brain is constantly feeding us, life gets really complicated and gets really scary and gets really, really overwhelming. And so I think just helping people understand, like maybe there's somebody listening to this who's living with intrusive thoughts, living with OCD, experiencing a lot of shame or a lot of just like, what's wrong with me that I'm struggling with this. I think it's so important for people to understand that that's not who they are, right? Like those thoughts are not who they are. You are so much deeper and expansive and so much more than the content that's going on in your brain. And I know it can be really hard to really believe that, especially when you're living with OCD. But I would really want people to hear that message today.
And that is a great message of hope. And again, you are an example of it. And again, I just really admire the fact that you taking, coming out and saying, hey, this is something that I've struggled with.
Yeah.
And then you do a 180-degree change in your career, which is just phenomenal. Yeah. But I think it just it resonates, I think, with people that when people like you can show that it can be dealt with and you can overcome that and continue to work on it. I think that's so encouraging to people.
Yeah, and I think it's really important, too, for people to understand that, sometimes when I talk, it can sound a lot like, oh, I conquered this thing and I don't struggle with it anymore. I live with it every single day, right? Like I've been in this interview with you today and had intrusive thoughts and my brain trying to play tricks on me, right? Like it's something that I live with every day. So I still have hard moments, just like all of us, right. But it's all about just learning to, I think, move with it in a different way, right? Not giving those thoughts or those internal experiences so much attention that they start pulling you away from life. So I'm in a place now where I can support people, and I love the work that I do, and I feel honored to do it, but I'm just like my clients right in it every single day, like learning to maneuver my mind.
Right. Wow, this has been great. We're at the end of the show already.
Goes so fast.
It's the fastest hour of your life.
It is. I think it is.
I always tell guests, just be ready. Buckle your seatbelt because it goes by so fast. All right. Well, everyone, I'm just so grateful to have Bryan Pyatt here. He has been wonderful. I encourage you to reach out to State of Mind Therapy if you have questions and talk to them. And we'll have to have you back.
I would love it.
Because I have notes here of all these things I want to talk to you about. And so we'll do that. But
awesome.
Anyway, we hope you enjoyed today's show, folks. Please contact us with any questions or comments you have regarding today's conversation. You can reach us anytime by voice or text at 612-999-3426. Join us again next Saturday at noon for another broadcast. And thank you for listening to Living Healthy and Aging Well, where we talk about your health and your life. Until next time, choose to live well.